Have you ever found yourself mesmerized by words so sweet they felt like honey, only to realize too late they were poison to your purpose? Tonight, I need you to hear me. Not every beautiful smile is a blessing, and not every soft voice speaks the truth. There are words a woman can say that don't just bruise your ego, they threaten your destiny. And if you don't recognize them, you could waste years chasing a mirage. My friends, we live in a world where appearances deceive, and where countless hearts are led astray by charm without character. But let me remind you right now, real love doesn't hide in shadows, it stands in light. And there are words, 5 phrases in particular, that when spoken by a woman should not inspire you to fight for her heart, but instead awaken you to walk away. Not out of anger, not in revenge, but with wisdom, with clarity, and with courage. So if a woman looks you dead in the eye, her tone casual, but her words sharp as a blade, and says, "I don't believe in commitment," don't see it as a cute challenge, something to conquer. Don't convince yourself that you're the man who'll change her mind. Don't start a project trying to prove to her that true love exists. Take it for what it is, a flashing red warning light. Because those 5 words are not the voice of a woman who's ready to build a future. They are the voice of someone still captive to her past, someone unwilling or unable to shoulder the beautiful burden of real love. It doesn't make her evil or unworthy, but it does mean she's not called to walk with you into your purpose. And if you ignore the warning, you may spend months or years trying to plant seeds in soil that can't grow. Hear me clearly, love is not a spontaneous feeling that comes and goes with every breeze. It's not only candlelit dinners, butterflies in your stomach, or passionate kisses under the stars. Real love is forged in the fires of choice. It's built brick by brick through sacrifice, honesty, forgiveness, and the daily decision to stay, especially when feelings fade, when the storms rage, and when comfort feels easier than commitment. Commitment is the mortar that holds the bricks of a relationship together. Without it, you don't have a shelter. You have a pile of rubble attractive from afar, but impossible to build a life inside. And if you meet someone who openly rejects the idea of commitment, don't try to transform her. Don't let your ego whisper, "Maybe I'll be the one to make her believe." That's a dangerous illusion. You are not her savior. You are not her rehabilitation program. You are not the proof she needs to believe in something she's already decided to reject. When someone says they don't believe in commitment, what they're really saying is, "I want the perks of closeness without the price of sacrifice. I want companionship without responsibility. I want love, but I refuse to pay its cost." And, brothers, let me tell you a hard truth. There is no such thing as love without cost. Everything worth having will cost you something. Real love will cost you comfort. It will cost you your pride. It will cost you your illusion of always being right. It may even cost you tears, sleepless nights, and humble apologies. But if both hearts are committed, the reward will be worth every sacrifice. Because in commitment, you find a partner, not a prisoner, a team, not a competition. But if only one person is building while the other drifts, you don't have a relationship, you have captivity. One gives, one takes. One tries, one runs. One sacrifices, one escapes. And the one who gives the most is the one left bleeding in the end, wondering what more they could have done to make it work. So when a woman tells you she doesn't believe in commitment, don't let desperation or loneliness blind you. Don't start rehearsing speeches in your head to convince her otherwise. Don't pour your heart, time, and soul into trying to become the exception to her rule. Because the more you try to change her mind, the more you risk losing your own. And as your heart slowly breaks in silence, you'll realize that you spent your energy fighting a battle that was never yours to win. Instead, take her words at face value. Honor them. respect them, and then for the sake of your destiny, walk away with your head held high, not out of bitterness, not in a rage of wounded pride, but in the quiet confidence of a man who knows his worth, who understands that love is a two-way street, and who refuses to beg someone to meet him halfway. Because, my friends, the right woman will not fear commitment. She will not flinch at the thought of building something lasting. She will not treat love like a temporary thrill. The right woman will see love as a sacred vow, a foundation worth fighting for, and a shelter worth protecting. She won't need convincing, she'll meet your commitment with her own. So don't waste your precious time trying to plant gardens in soil that refuses to receive seeds. Don't barter your peace, your purpose, or your future for a chance at proving your worth to someone unwilling to see it. When someone tells you they don't believe in commitment, thank them silently for their honesty and leave. Because every minute spent trying to awaken love in someone who rejects commitment is a minute stolen from your own growth, your own calling, and your chance to meet someone who's been praying for a man just like you. A man ready to stay when storms come. A man who sees love as a lifelong covenant, not a fleeting feeling. Remember your time, your heart, your purpose. They are precious. Guard them, invest them wisely, and never forget, the love you long for is not found in a chase. It's found in mutual commitment, where both hearts fight for each other every single day. You see, my friend, when a woman looks you dead in the eyes and says, "I don't believe in commitment," you must honor her words, not with anger or resentment, but with wisdom, with unshakable clarity, and with the quiet dignity of a man who knows what he was created for. Because, let's be brutally honest for a moment, she is not being cryptic or mysterious. She is telling you exactly what she wants and exactly what she doesn't. She's telling you she wants freedom, the freedom to leave when things get tough, the freedom to detach when life demands more than she's willing to give, the freedom to wander from heart, to explore new thrills, to disappear when the pressure of love demands roots. And, brother, let me tell you, with all the love I can muster, you were not built for that. You were designed for something deeper, something unshakable. You were crafted by God to be a covering, not a convenience. To be a man who builds a home, not a man who builds illusions. You were made to lead a relationship with purpose, not to chase a fantasy that evaporates the moment love demands sacrifice. Don't ignore the red flags just because you like the way she tosses her hair in the sunlight or because the chemistry between you sizzles like fire. Don't silence the alarms ringing in your soul just because every date feels electric. Chemistry is not covenant. Attraction is not agreement. Excitement is not endurance. Don't let your hormones blind your heart. Commitment, real commitment, is sacred. It is the rich, fertile soil where trust takes root and grows. It is the ground where shared dreams are planted tenderly, watered through good seasons and bad, and eventually brought to life. But if she refuses to plant roots, if she resists the very idea of putting her heart in the soil of faithfulness, then no matter how desperately you try, no matter how sweet the moments feel, there will never be fruit. You will spend season after season tending barren ground, hoping for a harvest that will never come. So hear me walk away. Don't hesitate. Don't look back over your shoulder wishing things were different. And don't ever apologize for wanting something real, for desiring something eternal. Because the love you long for, the kind that endures storms, grows stronger in struggle and brings peace instead of confusion, that love can only exist where commitment lives. One day, when you least expect it, you will meet a woman who looks you in the eyes with unwavering honesty and says, "I'm not perfect, but I'm planted. I'm here. I'm ready to build something real." And when you meet her, you'll be grateful you waited. You'll thank yourself for refusing to settle for something shallow. Until then, guard your heart fiercely, because love without commitment isn't love at all. It's a mirror reflecting your loneliness, your need, your fears, but it can never reflect real partnership. You see, when a woman openly tells you, "I don't believe in commitment," don't you dare ignore it. Don't let your emotions drown out your discernment. Don't chalk it up to her being quirky or modern, or just not ready yet. That statement is not a playful joke. It's not a cute personality trait. It's a billboard in giant blazing red letters flashing, "Warning! This road goes nowhere." Because when she says she doesn't believe in commitment, she is confessing that she wants the pleasure of your presence without the promise of your future. She wants your love without responsibility. She wants the chase, the thrill, the butterflies, the stolen kisses, but she doesn't want the covenant. She doesn't want to stand by you when life gets messy, when money runs short, when sickness visits, when dreams get delayed. She wants romance without resilience. She wants a relationship that never demands more than what's convenient. And, brother, I don't care how electric the chemistry feels. I don't care how strong the emotions surge. I don't care how many times you catch yourself daydreaming about your future together. None of that matters if she refuses to plant her heart beside yours in the fertile ground of commitment, because no chemistry can compensate for the absence of covenant. No attraction can replace the security of shared promises. No passion can sustain a relationship that lacks the roots of faithfulness. Remember this: excitement fades, butterflies quiet, good looks wrinkle with time. But a woman who believes in commitment will stand by you through every trial, every triumph, every season. She won't vanish when life demands sacrifice. She won't retreat when conflict comes. She will hold your hand and fight beside you when the storms rage. So if a woman says she doesn't believe in commitment, don't convince yourself that you'll be the exception. Don't waste your energy fantasizing about how your love story will inspire her to change. Because more often than not, you'll wake up one day exhausted, heartbroken, and asking yourself why you poured everything into someone who never intended to stay. Instead, let her words guide your steps. Thank her in your heart for her honesty. And walk away with your dignity intact and your purpose unshaken. Because you are not called to drag someone kicking and screaming into commitment. You are called to walk with someone who sees the same future you do. Someone who looks at you and says, "Let's build this life together." And if you wait, if you stay true to your convictions, you will find her. She may not be perfect, you aren't either, but she will be planted. She will choose you every day, even on the days when love feels less like a fairy tale and more like hard work. And that, my friend, is a love worth waiting for. So stand firm. Don't let loneliness trick you into settling. Don't let passion blind your purpose. Don't let fear of being alone lead you into a relationship that is destined to crumble. Know your worth. Honor your heart. And remember, chemistry fades, but commitment builds. Wait for the one who wants to build with you. If she refuses to stand still long enough to truly build with you, you must understand this hard truth: you are investing in a structure destined to collapse under its own weight. Because commitment isn't about chains or control, it's about a mutual choice, a willing daily decision. Love stops being love the moment it's treated like a temporary arrangement with an easy escape. A woman who won't commit is already halfway out the door before she even sets foot inside your life. And if you try to anchor your heart to someone like that, you won't stabilize her. You'll only drown yourself in the effort to hold on to a ghost that keeps slipping through your fingers. No matter how deep or sincere your love is, it will never be enough to sustain a relationship alone. Love is not a solo act. It requires two hearts planted in the same soil, two souls willing to face storms together, two lives ready to weave a shared future. Without that, you are not building a partnership. You are delaying the heartbreak that will surely come. Don't let yourself believe the lie that you can save her by loving her harder. Don't turn your relationship into a personal project where you pour yourself out trying to fix wounds that you didn't cause. That's not love, that's codependency dressed up as devotion. You are not called to be her therapist, her life coach, or her second chance. You are called to be a man of vision, a man of purpose, a man with a destiny to fulfill. And a woman who flat out rejects commitment will only slow your journey, distract your focus, and drain your strength. So when she tells you she doesn't believe in commitment, believe her. Listen to what her words are really saying. She may have wounds you didn't inflict. She may have reasons that feel valid. But unless she's actively doing the hard work to heal, you cannot stand still hoping she'll someday choose you. You must walk away not with arrogance, not from bitterness, but with wisdom that protects your purpose. Because what she refuses to commit to, she will never guard. And what she won't guard, she will eventually abandon when the storms come. And there's another voice you must watch for, a voice that sounds gentle, even sweet, but is just as dangerous when a woman looks at you and says, "You're too good for me." At first, it might sound humble, even noble, like she's trying to compliment you, but don't let the softness of her words fool you. That phrase doesn't come from healthy humility. It comes from deep-seated self-sabotage. A woman who believes she's unworthy of your love will never fully let you into her heart. She'll struggle to trust your kindness, question your intentions, and resist the very stability you offer. And eventually, she will start proving her own fears true by creating chaos, pushing you away, pulling you back, then pushing again, breaking what is healthy to validate her belief that she doesn't deserve you. What happens to you in that process? You start shrinking. You start doubting yourself. You find yourself bending over backward, trying to prove your love to someone who's determined not to accept it. You begin sacrificing your peace, losing your joy, and changing yourself just to convince her of a truth she refuses to receive. That is not a relationship. That is a rescue mission you were never meant to embark on, and it will leave you exhausted and empty. You cannot love someone out of their self-hatred if they are committed to staying in it. Compassion might whisper, "Stay a little longer. Maybe she'll see her worth." But wisdom will always tell you you cannot pour into a cup that has a hole in the bottom. You cannot give what she won't receive. There is nothing noble about tying your future to someone who's unwilling or unable to step into theirs. Love cannot thrive where one person's mind is stuck in constant self-doubt and fear. So when you hear those words, whether it's, "I don't believe in commitment," or "You're too good for me," don't get caught up in endless debates or emotional pleading. Don't argue with her heart or beg her to see your value. Instead, stand in your truth. Listen carefully. And if she tells you who she is or where she stands, believe her the first time, and walk away with your head high and your heart intact. Don't spend your nights hoping she'll wake up one day and magically change after you've loved her enough. Don't fool yourself into thinking your devotion will heal wounds she doesn't even want to face. You walk. You walk with your head held high because you know your worth, because you've learned that a heart like yours deserves more than confusion, silence, and second-guessing. You walk because you understand that the right woman won't flee from love. She will stand in it with you. She won't treat affection like a game of hide-and-seek. She'll show up fully, honestly, consistently, not just when it's easy, but especially when it's hard. When a woman looks you in the eye and says, "I don't believe in commitment," understand this. That is not a throwaway comment you can sweep aside like a casual joke. It is a declaration, a flashing neon sign. Don't dress it up in the clothes of optimism. Don't try to reinterpret her words into something more comforting. Don't convince yourself you'll be the one to change her mind with enough patience, enough gifts, enough affection. That path will only lead you deeper into a swamp of heartache and false hope. Because when someone tells you they don't believe in commitment, they're actually saying they want the freedom to slip away when love starts demanding sacrifice. They're confessing they don't want to be tied down to the daily responsibilities of loyalty, to the unseen grind of showing up on the mundane days when love is less about butterflies and more about choosing each other. They're admitting they want the benefits of intimacy without the weight of faithfulness. And you cannot build a future with someone who sees love as an option, not a promise. Without commitment, what you have isn't love, it's a transaction, a temporary exchange of pleasure, of time, of attention, until something shinier catches the eye, or until the heat fades. Without commitment, you don't have a relationship. You have a rental agreement, one with an expiration date stamped on it the moment things stop feeling new. You're not a partner. You're a placeholder, keeping the seat warm until they're ready to move on. And if you ignore that truth, if you close your ears to the alarms ringing in your spirit, you will spend your precious energy trying to build a castle on sand, something destined to crumble when the storms of real life roll in. Real love, the kind that endures decades, that weathers tragedies, that celebrates victories, is built on something far deeper than fleeting passion or fiery chemistry. It's built on roots. It's built on resolve. It's a mutual decision made over and over to choose each other, even when the excitement gives way to the ordinary, even when romance looks like folding laundry together or comforting each other after a tough day. If she won't choose you on the bad days, if she disappears when love stops being Instagram-worthy, then hear me clearly, that's not love. That's entertainment. And you, my friend, were never made to be someone's passing amusement or emotional toy. So don't be seduced by charm or drawn in by sparks if her heart isn't willing to stay when the lights go out. Walk away, not in anger or bitterness, but with a clear mind and a guarded heart. Because here's the truth. She may not be a bad person, and she may not even be wrong for where she is in her journey, but she is absolutely wrong for where you're going. And you must have the courage to leave what isn't right so you can make space for what is. Then there's another voice you must be ready to hear, a softer voice, one that sounds tender, even self-effacing, but is just as dangerous. You're too good for me. At first, it can feel like a compliment. You might smile thinking it's sweet, maybe even noble, like she's acknowledging your kindness. But don't let those words lull you into a false sense of security. Don't mistake insecurity for humility or brokenness for charm. Because what she's really saying is, I don't know how to handle being loved the right way. A woman who believes she is unworthy of genuine love will always eventually find a way to sabotage the good you bring into her life. Not because she consciously wants to hurt you, but because she's already at war with herself. She will question your affection, suspect your motives, and resist the very peace you try to offer. She doesn't trust calm. She doesn't recognize healthy. She is more comfortable with chaos because chaos feels familiar. What happens then? You spend your days trying to prove your love, working tirelessly to soothe her doubts, bending over backward to show her she is worthy. And each time you think you've convinced her, something triggers her old wounds, and you're back at square one or worse, even deeper in her storm. You start shrinking. Your confidence begins to erode. Your focus on your own purpose blurs as you're pulled into her emotional whirlpool. That, my brother, is not a relationship. That is a slow erosion of your spirit, disguised as devotion. So don't fall for the trap of thinking you can rescue her simply by loving her more. Don't believe that if you're patient enough, you'll finally convince her of her worth. That's not your battle to fight. Wisdom says that love cannot heal what someone refuses to face within themselves. And if she is determined to stay chained to her insecurities, you staying won't save her, it will only sink you. So when you hear words like, "I don't believe in commitment," or "You're too good for me," don't see them as challenges. See them for what they are: warning signs. Don't argue. Don't beg. Don't waste years of your life trying to transform someone who's unwilling to meet you where you stand. Instead, walk away with peace, because the right woman won't make you question your worth or doubt your future together. She won't flee from love. She'll stand firm in it, hand in hand with you. And no matter how steady and true you are, if she's battling her own sense of unworthiness, she will live every day bracing for the crash she's convinced will come. You could offer her honesty that shines like the sun, yet she'll search for shadows, assuming you're hiding something dark. You could give her unwavering stability, and she'll twist it into control, convinced you must have ulterior motives. You could stand loyal through every season, proving your devotion over and over, and she'll still believe it's a facade, because she's never witnessed faithfulness before. Her past has trained her to expect abandonment, to see love as a trap, to flinch at kindness, as if it's a prelude to pain. And here's where the real danger creeps in, like a slow fog. If you stay too long, hoping your consistency will convince her, you'll start doubting yourself. You'll find your thoughts circling late at night, wondering, am I not enough? Am I too much? Why can't she just see how real this is? You'll carry the weight of trying to prove your love day after day, performing emotional acrobatics. Not because you failed, but because she never believed she was worthy of love in the first place. Hear me clearly, that is not your burden to carry. That is a weight so heavy it will crush your spirit if you let it rest on your shoulders. You cannot heal someone's broken sense of self-worth simply by loving them harder. Love is powerful, but it isn't magic. Love can nurture, support, inspire, but it can't transform someone who's unwilling to face their wounds. You can only love her as far as she's willing to be loved. And if she's determined to reject love, your efforts will only leave you drained, doubting, and distant from the man you're called to be. When she says, "You're too good for me," it may sound sweet, even endearing, like a compliment wrapped in insecurity. But don't be fooled. She's already halfway gone in her own mind, certain she'll ruin whatever good you bring, certain you'll leave once you discover her flaws. And whether she realizes it or not, she's planting seeds of sabotage in your relationship. You'll feel it when she pulls away after a perfect date. You'll hear it in the tone of her voice when she questions your motives. You'll sense it when she starts looking for proof that her fears are right, and when you don't give her any, she'll invent some. Let her go. Pray for her healing, but release her. Because real love needs to be received, not resisted. Staying will not teach her to trust. It will only teach you to question your own value. And one day, you'll wake up wondering who you've become, trying to convince someone of something they refuse to believe. And maybe the most dangerous words she could speak aren't even about you. They're about all men. If she looks you in the eye and says, "I don't respect men," stop right there. Don't brush it off as a joke or minimize it as just a bad day. That's not trauma speaking, that's ideology. That's bitterness disguised as empowerment. That's not a woman searching for healing. That's a woman who's learned to see masculinity as the enemy. And no matter how kind, patient, or faithful you are, she will see your strength as a threat to her independence. She will interpret your leadership as oppression. She will question your motives every time you try to guide, support, or protect. She will compete where she should stand beside you, correct where she should encourage you, tear down where she should build. And over time, the steady drip of her contempt will either wear you into silence or provoke you into anger, because no man, no matter how righteous, can flourish under constant suspicion and disrespect. Brother, hear me. You were not born to prove that men are good. You were not placed on this earth to convince someone determined to hate what you are. You were called to walk in righteousness, to carry strength with humility, to lead with love, and to protect with honor. And if she's not ready or willing to respect, that she is not ready to walk beside you into a shared future. So when you hear those words, whether they come softly wrapped in insecurity or sharply pointed in bitterness, don't run circles in your mind trying to fix what you didn't break. Don't argue. Don't beg. Don't launch into speeches trying to change her perspective. Simply walk away with your head high, your spirit intact, and your heart guarded. Because you know who you are. You know your value. And you know what kind of love you were born to give. If a woman tells you, "I don't believe in commitment," don't misinterpret it as a moment of vulnerability or an invitation to show her something different. It's not a confession. It's a conviction. She's not opening the door for you to prove your worth. She's telling you plainly she has no intention of building something lasting with you or anyone. And that's not something you can change, no matter how patient, loving, or persistent you are. You can't outpatient someone who's already checked out of the hospital of love. If she doesn't believe in commitment, she doesn't believe in the very foundation that keeps love strong when the winds of life start blowing. And without that foundation, no amount of chemistry, attraction, or romantic gestures will hold it together. You see, after everything we've talked about, from commitment to self-worth, it becomes crystal clear: without the foundation of trust and dedication, even the strongest love will crumble. And without commitment, you are not her partner. You are simply a pastime, a temporary distraction, something to fill the silence until something shinier catches her wandering eye. You're not building a life together. You're marking time in a relationship that's doomed from the start. So hear me clearly: if she says she can't commit, you don't double your efforts to win her over. You don't chase her like a prize to be earned. You don't wait in quiet desperation, hoping one day she'll see your worth. You walk away, because a house without a foundation isn't a home. It's a trap waiting to collapse, and if you stay, it's only a matter of time before you're buried in the rubble of disappointment. Then comes the woman who says, "You're too good for me." It sounds soft, almost poetic. It can even sound spiritual, like she's being self-aware or humble. But hidden inside those words is a seed of self-destruction. A woman who believes she's unworthy will never allow herself to rest in your love. She'll see your commitment as suspicious, your faithfulness as too good to be true, your steady presence as an illusion that must one day vanish. And so, you'll spend your days trying to reassure her, trying to prove you're not going anywhere, all while she's bracing for your exit with every heartbeat. Her insecurity becomes sabotage. Her fear makes her push you away, even as she says she wants you near. She'll test you, doubt you, and set emotional traps not to hurt you intentionally, but because she's convinced pain is inevitable. No matter how stable, patient, or committed you are, you can't be an anchor for someone who keeps cutting the rope that ties her to safety. A woman who is at war within herself will never find peace with you. And love, no matter how pure or passionate, cannot thrive in soil poisoned by unresolved self-hatred. So when she tells you you're too good for her, what she's really saying is that she's not ready to believe in the possibility of a love that stays. And that, my brother, is when you must gently let go, not because you don't care, but because you know love can't be forced into a heart unwilling to open. But it gets even heavier still. If she looks at you and says, "I don't respect men," don't try to brush it off or fix it. It doesn't matter what she's been through. Her pain might explain her perspective, but it doesn't excuse the poison she's choosing to carry. That's not a harmless personality quirk. That's a wound turned into a weapon. And a woman who despises men as a whole cannot truly love any man as an individual. She'll see your strength as controlling. She'll see your kindness as weakness. She'll see your leadership as oppression. And every time you try to love, guide, or protect, she'll question your motives, resist your efforts, and twist your intentions. Over time, she won't just disagree with you, she'll undermine you. She won't just challenge you, she'll belittle you. Because, in her eyes, your masculinity isn't a blessing, it's a threat. And if you let her get close, you won't just feel unappreciated. You'll feel attacked, like every move you make is suspect. Every word you speak is ammunition for a fight. And hear me well, man of God, you were not created to lead with your head hung low, apologizing for the very essence of who you are. You were made to love boldly, to lead wisely, and to serve humbly, but never under contempt. Respect is not a bonus in a relationship. It is the foundation upon which everything else is built. And if she cannot offer you respect, she cannot walk beside you on the path you are called to take. And then there's a line so many men overlook, the one that sounds like harmless venting, but is actually a red flag waving in plain sight. All my exes were toxic. Now, let's be real for a moment. Everyone has a painful story or two. One or two bad relationships can happen to anyone. But if every single man she's ever dated was a monster, then the odds point to something deeper. Either she's repeatedly choosing chaos, addicted to drama, or she's rewriting history to avoid taking responsibility for her own patterns. A woman who constantly blames every man from her past is revealing a dangerous truth. She's either drawn to dysfunction or incapable of accountability. Either way, whether she's repeating her sad stories or hiding behind them, it's not just a minor warning sign. It's a glaring red flag waving right in front of you. Because here's the truth. If she hasn't healed from her past, she's not safe for your future. She may smile sweetly. She may charm you with her words. She may even draw you in with her vulnerability. But sooner or later, if her wounds remain untreated, she'll turn your name into the next chapter of her endless story of betrayal. And the tragic pattern repeats. The man who steps into this cycle, believing he can break it with love alone, almost always ends up as the next villain in her narrative. So don't let your compassion cloud your judgment. Don't let your desire to rescue her blind you to the reality of her patterns. Don't let your hope convince you that you're the exception to her rule. Because love isn't about fixing someone. Love isn't about proving your worth to a heart still closed by its own pain. Real love is built on peace, mutual trust, and two people willing to stand still long enough to build something lasting. Not on pity, not on potential, and definitely not on endless persuasion. So hear me clearly when these words show up. When these red flags wave in your face, don't waste your breath arguing. Don't waste your time waiting. And don't fool yourself into thinking you can love someone into readiness. Walk away, not because you're angry, but because you're wise. Because your heart was created for more than endless confusion. Your heart was made for covenant, for a love that chooses you back, for a bond where both people are all in, not for chaos disguised as chemistry. If a woman looks you straight in the eye and says, "I don't believe in commitment," you don't need to ask her any more questions. She just gave you the clearest answer you'll ever get. That's not mystery. That's not complexity. That's clarity, painful but clear. She's telling you in no uncertain terms that she wants the pleasure of romance without the promise of loyalty, the excitement of attention without the responsibility of faithfulness. And it doesn't matter how deep your feelings run or how powerful your connection seems. You cannot build a future with someone who refuses to stand still long enough to invest. You cannot pour your energy into building a home when she's already planning her next exit. You can't be the only one laying bricks when she keeps slipping in and out of the front door. Love without commitment is nothing but chaos wrapped in a beautiful disguise. And the man who ignores this truth, he's the man who ends up exhausted, disoriented, and brokenhearted every single time. If she won't choose you on purpose, if she won't stand beside you when things get boring or difficult, then hear me walk away. Because love worth having is love that stays. And don't get fooled when you hear her whisper, "You're too good for me." It can sound soft, almost like a compliment, even noble in its humility. But don't let your heart fall for it. Because behind those words are deep unhealed wounds, scars that haven't been faced, fears that haven't been laid to rest. A woman who truly believes she's unworthy of good love will eventually find a way to destroy it. She won't trust your kindness. She'll second-guess your words. She'll look for cracks in your loyalty, convinced you're hiding something. She'll mistake your patience for pity, your stability for control. And here's what happens next. You'll end up carrying the crushing weight of trying to prove yourself over and over again, not because you did something wrong, but because her mind is already convinced she doesn't deserve what's right. No matter how patient you are, no matter how pure your love is, she'll keep pushing you away to protect herself from a heartbreak she's convinced is inevitable, a heartbreak that hasn't even happened yet. That's not a partnership. That's a lonely mission to prove your love against, an inner war you didn't start and you can't win. It will drain you, it will exhaust you, and it will leave you wondering why you were never enough when the truth is you were never the problem. You cannot be her healer and her partner at the same time. You cannot love someone into wholeness if they refuse to step into healing themselves. So if she can't receive love, don't try to force it on her. Don't stay hoping your patience will change her heart. Walk away because true love cannot bloom in a soil poisoned by self-doubt and insecurity. And when she looks you dead in the eye and says, "I don't respect men," don't take that as some challenge to prove you're different. Don't believe you can work your way into her trust or redeem the mistakes of every man who came before you. Because that isn't a harmless opinion. It's a hardened ideology, a wound turned into a weapon. And no matter how kind you are, how faithful you are, or how much you try to lead with humility, she will see your strength as control, your kindness as weakness, and your leadership as oppression. She'll resist your authority not because of who you are, but because of what she believes you represent. And if you let her get close, you won't just feel unappreciated, you'll feel constantly under attack, like every word you say is ammunition for a new fight. And hear this, man of God, you were not made to lead with your head bowed low forever, apologizing for your existence or your masculinity. You were created to love with courage, to lead with wisdom, to serve with humility, but never under contempt. Because, let's be crystal clear, a woman who despises men doesn't want a good man, she wants control. Somewhere along the way, her pain stopped being just an experience and became her entire identity. She learned to wear bitterness like a suit of armor, convincing herself it was strength, when in reality it was a shield, keeping real love out. And if you step into her world thinking your kindness will heal her, you're in for a harsh awakening. No matter how patient, faithful, or genuine you are, you'll find yourself constantly on trial. You'll wake up every day trying to prove your intentions, trying to show you're different. Yet every word, every action will be filtered through her past wounds. She won't trust your leadership, and she won't support your calling. She will question your motives, resist your vision, and undermine your purpose. She will see your masculinity, your God-given strength, not as something to honor or cherish, but as a threat that must be controlled or changed. And here's what happens. When you stay too long, you'll start shrinking to keep the peace. You'll slowly silence your voice so you don't spark her suspicion. You'll trade your confidence for constant apology. And one day, you'll look in the mirror and wonder where the man you used to be has gone. A relationship without respect will starve your soul, drain your joy, and bury your purpose. Hear me, you were never made to live under suspicion, always defending your heart, always proving your worth. You were made to lead with strength, to love with gentleness, and to build with purpose, but never under contempt. If she cannot honor who you are at your core, she is not ready to walk beside you into the future you are called to build. Now lean in and pay close attention when she says, "All my exes were toxic." Because one bad relationship? Sure, that happens. Maybe even two. But if every single man she's ever been with was crazy abusive, evil, or narcissistic, it's not a coincidence anymore, it's a pattern. The common denominator in all those relationships isn't the men. It's her. That's not just a sad story. It's a cycle she hasn't escaped. And a woman who blames everyone else for every failed relationship never learns to take responsibility for her own choices. She's not just telling you about her past. She's giving you a preview of your future, because sooner or later your name will join the list of villains in her personal saga. A woman who is always the victim and never the student doesn't grow. She doesn't reflect. She repeats. And if you ignore that red flag, you will become the next lesson she refuses to learn. Don't let her unresolved chaos become your constant storm. Walk away not in anger, but with the wisdom to protect your heart, your purpose, and your peace. And finally, don't miss the quiet but deadly warning. In these words, "I don't need a man." At first, it might sound strong, even admirable. Independence is a good thing. Strength is beautiful. But hear what's really being said: I refuse to be led. I refuse to be covered. And I refuse to let anyone in. There is a difference between healthy independence and a hardened heart that confuses self-sufficiency with isolation. A woman who walls herself off and bristles at the thought of needing anyone isn't building a life with you, she's bracing against you. Love cannot thrive where it's treated like an intrusion. If she sees your presence as a threat instead of a blessing, your future with her already has a low ceiling. Because a relationship where you must fight just to earn space isn't a partnership, it's a battlefield. And you were never created to beg for scraps of affection or plead for a place in someone's life. You were made to lead with courage, to give with purpose, and to build with faith. If she doesn't need, you don't try to force your way in. Walk away with your head high and your heart whole, knowing you were never called to chase potential, but to protect your purpose. When a woman looks you in the eyes and says, "I don't believe in commitment," you need to believe her. That's not a random opinion. That's a deeply rooted mindset. She's telling you loud and clear that love to her is a momentary convenience, not a lifelong covenant. She's not thinking about planting roots or building a future. She's floating from one moment to the next, and you're just the latest stop along her wandering journey. Don't let your feelings fool you into believing you'll be the one to change her mind. Because if you stay, you'll waste years trying to build something lasting with someone who's already looking for the nearest exit. Love demands sacrifice, and sacrifice demands staying power. If she refuses to commit, don't you commit either. Walk not in hate or bitterness, but with honor for your own heart and respect for your future. Because you deserve someone who's ready to choose you, not someone who's preparing to leave. And when she says, "You're too good for me," don't mistake that for sweetness. That's not humility, it's a bright, flashing warning sign. She's already decided she can't receive what you're offering. She doesn't trust it. Maybe she's never seen it before. Maybe she's been burned too many times. But regardless of the reason, she will hold your goodness at arm's length, convinced it's only a matter of time before it disappears. And here's what happens when you try to stay. You'll exhaust yourself trying to convince her you're not like the rest. You'll pour yourself out, proving your loyalty, your intentions, your love, and still she'll question it. No matter how patient you are, she'll sabotage the relationship, pushing you away to protect herself from a heartbreak she's convinced is inevitable. And when the dust settles, she'll prove herself right by wrecking the very thing you built together. Remember, you cannot fix someone's view of themselves by bleeding for them. Love must be received to be returned. If she can't accept love, she'll never be able to truly give it. Let her go. And when she says, I don't respect men, don't laugh it off. Don't think it's a challenge. That's not a quirky opinion. It's a hardened wound turned into a world view. Maybe that bitterness came from betrayal or past hurt, but if it's left unhealed, it will poison your purpose and peace. You cannot lead where you are not honored. You cannot build with someone who constantly resists you. A relationship without respect is a slow suffocation. She'll compete when she should support, criticize when she should affirm and tear down what you're trying to build. After everything you've heard about the words that reveal a woman's heart, here's where it all comes together, because ignoring these warnings doesn't just risk heartbreak, it risks your purpose, your peace, and your calling as a man. And when you stay too long with a woman who has no respect for men, you will eventually find yourself apologizing just for existing as one. You'll catch yourself second-guessing every word, every decision, and every boundary you set, not because you did anything wrong, but because you've been made to feel guilty simply for being who you are. That, my friend, is not partnership. That's not love. That's spiritual warfare, a constant battle that drains your soul, your confidence, and your sense of purpose. And hear this clearly, it is not your assignment to convince her that men can be good. It's not your mission to redeem her past or prove your worth to someone determined not to see it. Your job is to protect your peace, guard your heart, and stand firm in your calling. So what do? You walk away, you don't slam the door, you don't carry bitterness, but you refuse to shrink just to be tolerated. You refuse to bow your head for a love that should be given freely. Because when a woman despises the very essence of manhood, no matter how gentle or faithful you are, she will keep you on trial. She'll twist your strength into aggression, your kindness into manipulation, and your leadership into oppression. Staying will only shrink your soul and bury your voice. And then there's the woman who says, "All my exes were toxic." Now let's be honest, anyone can have one or two bad relationships. We've all been hurt, but if every single man she's dated has been a villain in her story, that's not a tragic history. That's a pattern. And it's not a coincidence. A woman who always casts herself as the victim has never learned to reflect, to take responsibility, or to grow. She's not just sharing her past, she's predicting your future. Because one day, your name will be added to her list of men who hurt her, even if you gave your best. If every man before you was crazy, you will not be the exception. You'll simply become the next chapter she uses to avoid facing herself. Don't sign up to be the next lesson she refuses to learn. Let her heal before she harms. Walk away, not with malice, but with maturity. Love doesn't have to be tragic to be true. And you were not created to play the villain in someone else's endless story of blame. Then comes the bold declaration, "I don't need a man." She'll say it with pride, with power, maybe even with a smile that seems confident. But listen beyond the words. While independence is healthy and strength is admirable, what's often hidden behind this statement is a wall so high that real love can't climb it. A heart that insists it needs, no one will leave no room for you, because real love isn't about weakness, it's about willingness, the willingness to trust, to lean, to grow together. If she refuses to need anyone, she won't let you stand beside her. You'll always feel like an outsider fighting for relevance in a life where she's already decided there's no place for you. And a love without space isn't love, it's resistance. Remember, you weren't made to beg for scraps of connection. If she won't make room for you in her life, don't force your way in. Leave with dignity, with your heart intact, and with the peace that comes from knowing your worth. And finally, beware the modern mantra, "I'm just living my best life right now." It sounds harmless, even trendy, like she's just focused on happiness. But pay close attention, because this phrase often reveals a desire to avoid accountability, responsibility, and commitment. When she says she's living her best life, what she really means is that she wants freedom from expectations, from partnership, from the sacrifice that building something real requires. She's seeking experiences, not commitments. She's chasing moments, not legacy. And if you are a man serious about purpose, about building a family, about creating something lasting, then you must understand her best life doesn't include you. Because a woman focused only on herself has no room for a shared vision, no interest in building a future together, and no desire to sacrifice for something greater than the present thrill. So, what should you do when you hear these words, whether it's, "I don't believe in commitment," "You're too good for me," "I don't respect men," "All my exes were toxic," or "I'm just living my best life"? You don't argue, you don't chase, you don't shrink or compromise your standards. You walk. You walk with peace in your heart, with purpose in your step, and with the unwavering knowledge that you were created for a love built on covenant, not chaos, on respect, not resentment, on vision, not vanity. Because a man who knows his worth doesn't settle for confusion. He doesn't anchor himself to instability. He chooses clarity. He chooses peace. He chooses purpose. And that is the man who will one day find a woman who's not perfect, but ready to build, to stand and to love with a heart as committed as his own.